Greetings and welcome to the Halloween edition of the Sliders Review. And I'm here today to talk to you about Van Helsing Season 4, the season I hate. My God, how do they manage to ruin a show that was so cool when it started off, man? But circumstances happen. I don't fault the actress, the lead actress, for getting pregnant. I don't. I mean, that's her business to start a family with her, like, husband and stuff. And even though it threw like a monkey wrench in the plans, the show still could have been good if they didn't get rid of so many of their original characters and stuff. And like I told you before, this is the season where you're gonna start seeing some season one recurring characters just disappear from the show. And then they introduced two new characters that fans did not ask for. Now the two new characters, they would have been fine if Vanessa Van Helsing was still in the show. And because then fans would have accepted them a bit more. But see, here's the thing you gotta understand. When us fans started watching season 4, we had no idea that some of the main characters would leave the show. We had no idea the main actress was barely gonna be in season 4 and then disappear and then not show up until towards the end of season 5. So we was just furious and mad as what I'm saying? We were just complaining online because we didn't know what the heck was going on. See, at that time, we had no idea the lead actress was even pregnant and stuff. And, now that you look back on it, you're like, oh yeah, I can tell she's pregnant. She gained a little weight. She's always wearing all black and this long black trench coat to cover up her baby bump. And then in one scene in episode 7, you can actually see her baby bump by mistake. So it's like she was pregnant around that time. And like I said before, hey, look, us fans, we don't fault her, for getting pregnant. But the show should have found a way to work around that, like they did with Lucy Lawless and Xena. Lucy got pregnant in real life, so they just wrote that into the show. And once she gave birth, they brought her, or she didn't have to be brought back because she was still in the show. It's just they had somebody else doing the fighting for her, Gabrielle. That's what they should have done in season 4 and 5 of Van Helsing. In season 4, they should have just wrote it say, I don't know, she gets pregnant or something like that, right? That way, everybody else, can do the fighting for her, like Julius, Axel, and now the brand new twins on the show, Jack and Violet. They could have done the fighting. Vanessa still could have been on the show, and us fans would have been happy. Because the actress even said herself, because she's an executive producer by this time, she even said herself she wanted to come back and just be a gunslinging pregnant woman, but they would not let her for some reason. See, by this time, Vanessa no longer uses guns. She stopped using them after season 1. And, there were ways to write around her pregnancy, but the writers, see, I blame the writers and the showrunners and stuff. They just didn't know how to deal with this. And they could have worked around it like they did with Lucy Lawless and Xena. That it would have worked too if Vanessa just would have stayed on the show and they would have kept certain characters and not have everybody be fragmented and scarce throughout the entire season. Because like I said before, this show started off as a Walking Dead ripoff, but with vampires, because it's based on an actual comic and everything, but it looks nothing like, the actress doesn't dress like the comic book character in the comic. So they made it like The Walking Dead. But then by season 2, they're like, okay, let's just add in stuff from the comic to make it more like the comic, because I guess it pissed off fans. So by season 2, and especially by season 3, It went from this grounded, realistic Walking Dead setting to that of a more like, supernatural, paranormal type thing. Like Blade in season 2, season 3 felt more like Buffy. And this season, I don't know what this season feels more like. I'm not really that keen on vampire movies. Maybe Interview with the Vampire, maybe Underworld, which I am familiar with Underworld, but maybe just like I say, like maybe it has a different feel to it. So more and more as the show kept going on, it felt more like The Walking Dead and other vampire properties. Now, just like with the freaking Walking Dead, like I told you before, they took also the bad qualities of The Walking Dead that started making the show suck. Qualities like adding in way too many humans and stuff. That's one of the things that pissed me off about The Walking Dead. I just wanted a small group of survivors dealing with zombies, and that's it. I didn't need so many humans and survival groups and this and that coming in. I didn't need all that. Another thing they did that was just like The Walking Dead was solo episodes. So basically, just like in season 3, they split up the main cast. So you'll get either a pairing of two characters on their own journey in a single episode, or you'll get like a solo star doing the whole thing by themselves, or they will split it in half, like having one group of the cast for part A, and then part B having another member of the cast. And that is something that drove the Walking Dead fans to just stop watching the show. So why the heck would you emulate that in this show? It's so bad how the group is split up that they're barely in the show. Okay, so here's the thing, right? Vanessa Van Helsing, Kelly Overton herself, the lead actress, I'm kidding you not, she's only in about 3 or 4 episodes at the most of a 13 episode season. So she is missing for 9 episodes. That is ridiculous because she is the main lead. And it was kind of like that in season 3. In season 3, she showed up more, but there were still episodes where she'll go like 2 or 3 episodes and you wouldn't see her and everything. That is not how you do a show. That is not how you do your lead. I've never seen nothing like this before, except for kind of like in The Walking Dead. But even then, Rick still showed up for a lot of those solo episodes, except for season 4. And so, like, that's just nuts. And not to mention Flesh, he's only in about, 2 episodes at the most I can think of. Like, yeah, he really only appears in 2 episodes. Let's see who else. Doc, she's barely in this season. And Jolene, who they just added from the other seasons, like 2 and 3, who's like a recurring character, she's only in about 2 episodes. Sam, my God, is only in probably about 3 or 2 episodes. And so it's like, what the heck are y'all doing? Like, the only people who show up on the regular is Axel and Julius, and then, of course, the new characters they introduced. Why would you do that? Like, Sam is the best villain I've ever seen in like any television or movie, who was built up from like the ground up and everything. And he's only in 2 or 3 episodes. Not to mention his little demonic elder look he had at the end of season 3. You only get that for 2 episodes. In the other episodes, he's completely human looking now. He has his hair again. He has flesh colored skin tone. He's wearing nice clothes like a suit, and for some reason he's wearing glasses and everything. And it's like, well, why the heck explain that? Like, explain that. Why? He's an elder now. He no longer looks like his creepy vampire way. He doesn't even look like a human in season 1 the way he did back then. He looks like a completely different person. And what's up with the glasses? And then that whole demonic look, which would have been so cool. They would have kept that for the rest of the season, but of course, no budget. It only appears in 2 episodes and very briefly. And I'm just like, oh, come on. Come on, man. Then there's Flesh, who's on this big mission to find like his ex-wife. And he going through the roller coaster of it all, but he's only in like 2 episodes. And not to mention, like I told you before, they wrote off some of my favorite characters. I don't get it. When I say they're written off, I mean they are gone, man. 2 of them will never appear again. And one of them, like I said before, she doesn't even show up till the end of season 5. I just don't get it. And then there's like I think Doc, yeah, she's the third one that kind of disappears in the show and everything. And she's not even really in season 5. She's only like a guest star. And it's just kind of like, what are y'all doing, man? Y'all getting rid of so many good characters and stuff. Then they introduce new characters they ain't nobody asked for. And it's nothing against those stars. It's just we want our stars in the show along with them and everything. Don't just make them the new lead and make us accept it. Because the problem is with the whole Jack and Violet thing. They're okay and they're all right, but we don't know them. They just got introduced, shoehorned in season 4 and season 5. The other 3 seasons, they never existed because we never knew they existed and everything. And then, like I said before, they would have been cool if Vanessa was with them, fighting alongside, because they are her daughters and everything. And the way they was created was the most off the wall content ever, because like I told you before in so many other reviews, Vanessa is white, Jack is Hispanic, and Violet is black. And they're mother and daughter. They're not even biracial looking. I'm like, what the heck? And so they have to go after, and it's so rushed this season how they all find each other, because Jack has been missing from Violet for like years since the uprising has happened. We do get to see how the uprising affected the human race. I've already reviewed that like a couple of years ago. But like those two have been separated since that episode, so they haven't seen each other. Vanessa just randomly finds Jack with another survival group, and she leaves Jack only for Jack to realize that, hey, I turned the vampire back to human. And so then all of a sudden she's now drawn to Vanessa. Then you have Violet, who we get introduced very early on and find out she's a Van Helsing, and then find out she's now drawn to Vanessa, and she literally finds her in the next episode. And what makes it worse is that as soon as the daughter mother duo or trio is united for the first time, Vanessa is written off the show. So Vanessa only knew of her twin daughters for like 1 episode. I'm just kind of like, or no, 2 episodes and stuff. And then she's written off. So we don't even get that mother-daughter feel and everything. And then when you introduce these 2 new characters, then you feel bad for Dylan. Dylan did not deserve her fate in season 2. And it's probably the reason why Dylan was written off, because she was a teenager and, there's labor laws and stuff. But then that's just a piss in her face. And it's just, everything's getting retconned and retooled, and the whole Vanessa or the Van Helsing bloodline, and why Vanessa was created and why the twins were created. And I've said this before. Dylan should have never been turned into a vampire. She should have never died. Dylan was a Van Helsing. Just because the vampires experiment on her, I don't care. She should have never been turned. She should have never died. It doesn't make sense with the lore of this show and everything. Oh, and not to mention Lily from the end of season 3. Oh, they get rid of her in the first episode. So what was the point of even bringing her back? So it's like they're just writing themselves in a giant hole of getting rid of characters you want to see on this show and then introducing characters you don't want to see in this show. And this season just makes me mad, man. Like it legit makes me mad. Even when I know what is supposed to come, I just get even more mad. And you rarely see vampires this season. The whole sisterhood of vampires, like I said before, that whole group of vampires was a waste. Scab is a waste. And not to mention, it's so weird. Some of these characters haven't seen each other since season one because they keep splitting up the group. Flesh has not seen Vanessa since season one, and he will never see her. Never. He never saw her in season two, three, not even four. Sam. Sam has not seen Flesh since season one. Sam has not seen Doc since season one. He only seen Axel in season three, and he saw Vanessa in season two and three, and that's literally it. You know, and it's odd, man. Like it's just strange and weird. Like Julius hasn't seen Vanessa since season two and a little bit at the beginning of season three, but mostly season two. And it's just kind of like this whole survivor group that we got to know and love since season one have been so separated, man. Even like Doc and Julius, who came to this new facility together, they're only in about 2 episodes together. They're in other episodes, but only together they're in these two. And it's just like, were they finding other jobs, other acting roles? Like, why did Dot get written off so early and everything? Why was she only a guest appearance in season five? I don't get it. Like, they really built her character up way better since season two and season three. She's literally like the Carol of the show now, because, like I said, it's based on Walking Dead. And she was the coward in season one. She was a little bit more of a coward, redeeming herself in season two. And then in season three, she got a whole lot tougher and everything. Jack reminds me of Tara. Violet reminds me of Michonne a little bit. Axel, of course, is like a combination of like Shane and Daryl. Vanessa is the Rick Grimes of the show, but she looks like Lori. That's the funniest thing about it. Julius, I guess Julius could be kinda, I guess, like a Maggie of the show, probably. Like, you know, he's really reliant and really loyal and everything, and tough and stuff like that. Flesh is kinda like, what's that dude's name? Glenn. He's kind of like the Glenn of the show, you know. He's nice, but he's also tough. And I don't know who Muhammad is. Like, I really don't know. Muhammad is kind of more like Glenn, I guess you could say. Yeah, Muhammad was more kind of like Glenn, but then Flesh is kind of like Glenn. But it's just weird, man. It's just like, how do you ruin a show like this? Like, how? And this season should have ended with episode 7. It would have been a little bit more refreshing for fans, because once you get out of episode 7 and you realize, hey, Vanessa's no longer in this show, then there's no reason to get mad, you know, because then next season she could disappear and come back. But like I said before, she don't show up to the end, and it doesn't make no sense when she comes back. Her hair is short. Her hair is blonde in season 5. She has superpowers now. And it's just kind of like, well, how the heck did all this happen? And not to mention, they introduced time travel again in season 5. But the problem with this time travel is that when Vanessa time traveled in season 3, I think it was, she did not alter time. You could just you observe everything, and you are implanted inside a person's body, but you don't alter stuff. So everything remains the same. But when they do time travel in season 5, now you can alter crap, and it's just kind of like, huh? Not to mention, the way the person got back in the present day is odd. So you trying to tell me she will never age after all those centuries? Like, I gotta look online. I gotta see what their new writers or a new showrunner or something, because season 4 and 5, man, like you have no idea how pissed off furious I was years ago, and how pissed off furious the entire fan base was back then. People are still complaining about season 4 and season 5. But hey, let's just get into some character bios now, which this really shouldn't take that long, because like I said, some of these characters are barely in the show. Before I go into character profiles and stuff, the action this season and the blood, there's actually barely any blood this season, which is odd. Season 1 had tons of it. Season 2, not so much. Season 3 brought it back. And now season 4 barely has it, and it's mostly CGI blood now. Which, how do you have a vampire show with no blood? Not only that, but the action is different this season. Now, I said last review that in the 3rd season, the action started to get better, and it did. But it's getting better now in certain places and certain places not, between that of season 4 and season 5. In season 4, they do more hand-to-hand combat, which I like. That's something that's been missing from this show. Because really, when they fight in the other seasons, it's not really choreographed that well, but it looks very realistic, but it's just kind of a little sloppy at times, or non-existent. This season, you get a bit more of the hand-to-hand combat. But really, there's only 2.5 people who really fight. Vanessa has 2 fight scenes that happen with a sword, and it's very brief, but the majority of the fighting this season actually comes from Violet. And it's choreographed very, very nicely. And there's plenty of it, but here's the thing. It only looks good when she's sparring off against humans. If she's fighting a vampire, it looks kind of odd. Not to mention, now with the action, they use shaky cam and they speed up the footage, which I don't like. I need one or the other. I don't need both. When you rev up the speed of the film and you use shaky cam, you don't know what you're looking at. Also, there isn't that much gunslinging this season. There's a little bit, and it looks a bit different than what it normally does. I'm really shocked and surprised because, when you're killing these vampires, that's the main weapon, is like a gun. But because so many characters are either missing or barely show up, there isn't that much gunslinging around. But it will come back in season 5 to the point where it will look like a video game, which is really cool. Chad and Tabby. So I wasn't really expecting to see Chad this season, because I thought his season, his story arc would have ended last season, with like Mike, his boyfriend, dying and stuff like that, and him trying to get the rest of the young people in his survival group, out of harm and stuff like that. But they brought him back, and they brought him back in a very interesting way, to where he's in 2 episodes, to where I thought he would be a recurring character. Now, Chad was introduced in season 2, and him and Mike only will appear in about anywhere between 1 to 2 episodes per season. And they are a survival group who is friends with that of Vanessa and Julius and the rest of their friends and stuff. And they're really two nice guys. I think it was Mike that said, he was straight before the apocalypse, and then he found Chad and fell in love. But we saw Mike die at the hands of Sam last season and a couple other members of their group. Tabby and Chad are the last two surviving members of that group because Sam picked them all off one by one along with Felix. Felix used to be a member of the group until Sam turned him and killed him. And so we see Vanessa stumble upon a car that is set like a booby trap. And he lies to her, telling her it's for vampires, but she knows better than that. So after she follows him, she sees that he starts cutting his arm and feeding that of Tabby. Tabby has been turned, most likely by Sam or somebody else off screen. And so she tells him, hey, look, man, I can turn vampires back to human. Everything will be all right. But he doesn't believe her because he's never seen her special ability. So weird. 3 seasons and he's just now seeing it. So after she knocks him out, she cures that of Tabby, and he is shocked and surprised, not sure what the heck Vanessa is. But Vanessa tells him that she is the light, a term that was given to her last season. And so after that episode, I assume him and Tabby will just leave and never be seen again until they showed up in another episode. And his episode is kind of like added to that of Jack. He befriends Jack. They're part of the same survival group and everything. And Vanessa knew Jack, but she didn't know that was her daughter. So while they're trying to like break into like a bank and all this other stuff, they get surrounded by like daywalkers and vampires and blah, 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 blah. And so like Jack gets bit and he's all like, oh man, that sucks. But of course, Vanessa's not there to help her. So he throws her into a trash bin and is about to set on fire to kill the rest of the people that died and the vampires and stuff like that. Until Jack comes on out the trash can, realizing that, oh, you're just like this Vanessa woman and everything. And Jack knows Vanessa. Vanessa gave Jack Scarlett's katana. So she sets out looking for that of like, Vanessa, and that pretty much ends the whole like Chad and Tabby storyline. Once again, very shocked and surprised, and I wish they could have been added as main characters or recurring characters, but this show has a funny way of introducing you to a character that's part of a survival group and then getting rid of them a couple of episodes later. Like the people from season 3 that had like the baby and stuff, they're never seen again, and they was really interesting. Flesh, Jennifer, and Owen. So Flesh has been looking for his wife Jennifer ever since season 3. And him and Jolene have like, they made it to Love Land, where it's the prison camp for whatever offense that person committed and stuff like that. And so when they get there, they meet the warden, Max. And Max is crazy in the head. He chains both of them up until Jolie, managed to lie her way out of it. But he realizes after shooting Flesh came back alive. He's fascinated by this and decides to torture Flesh. So he's constantly beating the crap out of him with like a metal pipe, making the blood come out and letting him like resurrect and everything like that. So at some point, with the help of Axel and Jolene, they are all able to escape. But the problem is Jennifer wants nothing to do with Flesh, aka Phil is his real name. I guess I'll start calling him Phil now. And the reason for that is because he ate their 2 kids. And he's trying to tell her, hey, look, man, that was the virus inside me. I was a vampire back then. But she told him no, because you wasn't happy even before you turned into a vampire. And how you constantly complained and everything. Well, after they escape, the Warren, Max, comes back like alive somehow. And so, he takes that of Jennifer and that of Owen. And so Phil and Axel pursue after him. And it's a whole episode dedicated to him. Phil is probably in about 3 episodes at the most. Anyway, after a long ride of trying to get his family back, they finally decapitate Max, and Phil, Jennifer, and Owen. I guess she was she was either pregnant during that time, or somebody else's baby. But anyway, they go off and they're never seen again. Phil has now had his happy ending. He's back with his wife, kid, and everything, and they're gonna live happily ever after. I was shocked and surprised to see this. I wasn't expecting him to leave the show because he's one of the best actors on the show, and he's one of my favorite, and now he is gone. Not only is he gone, but like I said before, this dude has not seen Vanessa since season 1. Him and Julius were at odds with each other, and he hasn't even seen Julius since season 3. He hasn't even seen Doc since season 3. I hate when they separate these characters like this. He hasn't even seen Sam since season 1. Max, he is the prison warden over at Love Land. He's very eccentric, very erotic, and just very crazy in the head. He loves to get drunk and high, and he befriends Axel, who saves his life from a vampire. Well, he starts trying to make deals with Axel, but Axel won't take them until, he makes a deal to smuggle alcohol in from where Violet is from. But Axel can see just how crazy this dude is and how he treats his prisoners. And of course, Flesh, aka Phil, is part of his prison. And so is Jolene. So Axel decides, hey, I'm just going to blow the whole thing up, smuggle in a bomb with the alcohol, stuff like that. Well, Max starts to get weary of Jolene and all her lies and this and that. And so she shoots him in the head, and then they blow the building up along with Max in it. So then her, Flesh, and Jennifer and Owen and this prison guard dude, they all gonna escape until Max somehow secretly comes back to life. And it's how? Well, it turns out he was bit by a vampire a while back, and Vanessa turned him human. And then after that, he got bit by a daywalker and can regenerate. Basically, he kidnaps Flesh's family, and they go on this big chase scene. Jennifer is very defiant and will not do whatever Max asks, even if it means putting a gun to her head. He's trying to get to some location, this and that. Well, eventually, after a while, he is decapitated and died. And of course, he's played by the dude who played John Murphy in the 100. Tons of her 100 cast members come into this show. And also the actor who played Julius, he was in the 100 as well. Jolene is a character that was introduced briefly in season 2. She barely appears in season 2 and 3, but she is the love interest of Doc. And so she actually did protest in season 3 that got her arrested and sent to Loveland. I thought she was framed, but no, she actually did protest. So her and Flesh have been on the run trying to find the Loveland prison camp, so they can rescue his wife and then they can get back to Denver. So anyways, when they make it there, Max is being Max, and she lies and all oh yeah, we work for Black Tech and we were sent to spy on you and everything. This buys them enough time to where they can try to plan their escape. And so her ruse isn't very good because she was sent to spy on him. Why didn't he just kill her then and there? Anyway, she's constantly asking, what happened to Denver, and he has no idea because communication is down and somebody's supposed to fix it. She later befriends one of the guards and everything. And so they can all plan their escape because they're all just tired of Max and blah, 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 blah. And so, like, when her lies start to be too much for Max and he starts to figure stuff out, she ends up shooting him. After they all make their escape, she decides to stay with the prison guard to stay there in case, like, Doc ends up, like, going there trying to look for her. Because they later found out by Axel that, like, Denver is gone. And I mean gone. Because the people there, they decided, you know what, we can't contain the vampires and we don't want to build an army of new vampires, so we're going to kill the remaining humans there. But Doc got out. Lily Van Helsing, it is the grandmother of Vanessa and Scarlet. Basically, she was resurrected by the blood of Sam, an elder, when her corpse got exposed to his blood. She tried to help Vanessa fight off Sam at the end. So in the beginning, I'm thinking, wow, okay, she's gonna be in like the show now. Nope. She only appeared in the first episode of season 4, where she tries to help Vanessa fight off Sam. She finds out Vanessa has the ability to heal because where did Sam stab or shoot her at? I think he shot her in the chest or something. He did. No. He blinded her. He blinded Vanessa with his thumb. And when Vanessa healed, it freaked out Lillian. And so when Lillian, leaves the crypt and everything, she's like, wow, what year am I in? Because she's so shocked and surprised. She finds out Vanessa is a vampire and all this other stuff. As they're talking about the book, they get attacked by vampires and she gets bitten. So Vanessa's all like, hey, look, I'll just let a daywalker bite you and like, I'll bite you after that and you'll be human. But Lillian's all like, no, she'd rather die than turn into a vampire. And so Vanessa lets her die. It was pointless bringing this character back. She really didn't serve no real good purpose, in my opinion. Why introduce her if you're just going to get rid of her the very next episode? Sam. It baffles me what they did to Sam this season. Sam was literally one of the best villains I've ever seen in a television show or movie. He is truly sadistic, truly crazy, and he kills for pleasure. He got turned into a vampire in season 1. He went on a huge killing spree in season 2 and 3. And then at the end of season 3, he turned into an elder vampire. Equipped with like a vampire-ish looking face, looks like the devil, and horns and stuff like that. It's never explained really why he looks the way he does with the horns and stuff like that. Because all elders can look any kind of way possible. Like the first one we saw looks like a vampire from the second Blade movie and The Strain. The second one, I can't really remember. It was kind of like this hag looking thing or something like that. And the third one just looked like a human vampire. So they always look different and it's never explained. Well, he fights Vanessa the best he can and gouges out her eyes and she gets away. He doesn't like Bathory, the Oracle lady, because she keeps telling him what to do and he doesn't like it. He also lost the pendant or the amulet with Dracula's blood. So it pisses off Bathory. And so the next time we see Sam, because he's only in about 3 or 4 episodes, it's really odd and strange. Now he looks completely human. He has the ability to change his appearance. It's never explained how, but elders are able to do that though. But then also so are other vampire-y type people. It turns out Hansen is able to change his appearance. Bathory, who is like a vampire oracle, which they'll get into much later, is able to change her appearance. And so this show is just starting to get confusing because now it's just kind of like they're adding too many elements and they're adding too much stuff in the comics and it's confusing to what it used to be. So now Sam looks human, but he doesn't look like the human he did in season 1. He doesn't have his beard, his hair is not brownish red. It's not bushy. Now it's really short. It's black. And for some, he has his flesh colored tone. And now he's wearing glasses for some reason and wearing a suit. Why? Why is he wearing glasses? Why does a vampire need to wear glasses? For whatever reason, he does. Now, the actor wears glasses. That could be it. But then in other scenes, you don't see him wear the glasses. It's never explained. And now, all of a sudden, he is comedic. And he doesn't talk the way he used to do. It's like they committed character assassination with this character. Then in his last appearance in episode 7, cause see what happened is him, Bathory and this other vampire who was the original leader of like the Sisterhood, they all travel to where Hansen is now relocated. And they act more like a vampire society of high class society. They're wearing suits and dresses. When they feed on like a human, you hear like this opera music. It's so different now. And so in the 7th episode, Sam's final episode, he's back to looking like his horned devil looking character. He fights Vanessa. And it's cool how he fights because like he uses his horns like a shield. So every time you have like a metal weapon, he just uses his horns to deflect it. It's such a cool fighting tactic. But he whoops that Vanessa, Jack, and Violet and everything. And I was very shocked and surprised to see what happened next. So the Oracle has been grooming him since he's been a kid. He is supposed to be the vessel of that of Dracula. And he is the 4th elder made. And that is the purpose of the 4th elder. So he drinks the blood of that of Dracula, thinking he's going to become the new Dark Lord. But instead, a portal opens up in his chest. Out comes like smoke. And the body of Dracula takes over Sam's body. Sam is now dead. And I'm just kind of like, oh, heck nah, man. You got rid of flesh. Doc is only in 2 episodes this season, and I kid you not. It's like the first 2 episodes. And then you have the audacity to kill off Sam. And if Sam was going to be killed off, it should have been Vanessa to kill him, because Sam has killed a lot of people since season 1. He killed both Muhammad and that of Felix after he turned them and stuff. He's killed Mike. He's killed tons of innocent people. He takes off their fingers after he kills them, or he removes their teeth. The dude is crazy. It should have been Vanessa to kill him, because that's what she's been wanting to do since season 1. Oh, and he killed Susan on top of that. Vanessa's like friend and girlfriend. So instead, he just dies by sacrificing himself for Dracula. That pisses me off. And then she was gone. Vanessa. I was so shocked and surprised watching this in real time back in the day when they got rid of her character. All right, so here's the thing, right? There are only 13 episodes this season, right? She only appears in about 3 or 4 of them. Yeah. and they get rid of her by the 7th episode. I'm like, you gotta be kidding me. So from them 7 episodes, she's gone for like 3 of them and we never see her. Then she's missing for a total of 9. People didn't know what to expect of this because they thought she would be back by the end of the season, but she wasn't. And nobody knew the reason why. So then we assumed, okay, she'll be back by like the 5th season. Nope. She literally did not appear until around the 10th episode of the 5th season. Yeah, and it's a 13 season arc. Needless to say, fans were pissed off because she's missing for about 18 episodes and everything. Fans didn't literally know what the heck to expect. Uh, Plus, she was missing for a couple of like the third because that's when they did their solo episodes for other characters. This is baffling because she is the main character. She is the protagonist. She is our hero. And it was later, years later, revealed she was pregnant during season 4. So I was like, oh, that's why. But she gave birth by the time season 5 came around. So where the heck was she? Nobody knows. The actress said she wanted to come back even when she was pregnant, but the producers would not allow her, even though she was an executive producer around season 4. I would love to hear the shadiness of what happened behind the scenes on why they prevented her from coming back to the show, but we will probably never know. So fans were outraged because they didn't know what the heck was going on and they didn't like her two replacements. So, and also she was different this season. She now wants a life of peace. Yeah, we don't want that in a vampire apocalypse when you're the hero. So basically, it's like this. After losing her sister at the end of season 3, she just wandering the world with like, well, she doesn't even wander far. She has Lillian by her side, her ancestor, who is now resurrected. But like I said before, Lillian got bit and she didn't want to turn into a vampire, so she kills herself. And so now, after losing 2 family members, losing her mom, not knowing who the heck her dad is, losing her daughter Dylan at the beginning of season 2, Vanessa has pretty much just had it and she's done. So she's taken Scarlett's katana and everything, and at first she used it to fight Sam, but then after that she meets a group of people and now she's all about healing and everything. So she says since she is the light that's supposed to open up the darkness and everything and confront the darkness, she's no longer gonna fight and kill people, or at least fight and kill vampires. She's now just gonna let them bite her, or she's gonna bite them. She just wants a life of peace. See, once again, they're doing that whole Rick Grimes thing, because she's basically the Rick Grimes of the show. And I've been wondering why, since season 1, since she knew what she kinda is and can turn vampires back to human, why doesn't she just bite the vampires instead of always killing them? That's something I've been wanting to see since, like, season 1. For her just to go around and every vampire they fight, instead of killing them, just bite them. But, whatever. They just having her do the warrior thing and killing them, so I'm cool with that. But now they finally had her going around, like, because she does bite people in between those seasons. But, I was expecting her to bite every vampire she comes in contact with, but she never does. Her bloodlust has been controlled. She no longer is acting dark or evil. She's no longer drinking the blood of humans because she just craves it all of a sudden. That is now all been written out. She still has the darkness inside her. Her eyes will still glow, but that's about it. And I get why she's, this way because of all that happened. I mean, Axel hates her. When Axel did finally see her, he made good on his promise and tried to kill her. They literally had a huge fight to where he was stabbing her, slashing her, shooting her, and she had to fight back. And then he finally forgave her and everything, only for her to do her whole, no, I gotta do this by myself and wander the world by myself. I hate that when she does that. Oh, and to add more confusion to the show, now, like, Vanessa has like a page from the book and she gives it to Axel. And apparently now it's like a compass. It's basically a cross and it will guide anybody to her or Van Helsing. I mean, this is cool and everything. It's just kind of like this is what should have been established in season one and not so much that Walking Dead format. She stumbles upon like a group of survivors where she meets Jack. Jack thinks she's the coolest. She starts hanging out with the people and having karaoke and this and that. And she gives Jack like Scarlett's katana. Now she had no idea Jack is her daughter. Later on, she started having visions of Violet, and she has no idea why. So at some point in time, Jack just somehow finds her. And Jack's all like, dude, the craziest thing happened. I got bit by a vampire. He threw up, turned human, and somehow I'm alive. So Vanessa's all like, you must be like a relative of mine. Maybe like you're another Van Helsing or something. So then, stumbling upon the woods, they find Violet all of a sudden. She just finds them because they're all drawn to each other. And Violet's all like, Jack, I ain't seen you since the uprising because they're twin sisters, even though they're black and Hispanic. I've already explained it. And she's all like, yo, craziest thing happened to me. I got bit by a vampire. He turned human. And all of a sudden, I healed from my wounds and everything. And so they're realizing, okay, something more must be going on. They start doing some talking, and Violet tells them what she read in the medical papers that Jack and Violet's father were military volunteers, and that their real mother, or the mother they thought they knew, was never their mother because they never really knew their parents because Hanson adopted them. And it turns out Vanessa is their mama. Because apparently Black Tech was experimenting on Vanessa ever since her and her sister were young, as we already knew. But what we didn't know is that they extracted like either like the blood or an ovary egg or something like that from Vanessa when she was like 4 years old or something. So then they fertilize the eggs. I think they like put them in like different women and stuff like that. And like, no, wait, and then they just like grew them and everything. And so at 4 years old, the girls have eggs around that time? I don't know. It's confusing. Anyway, it's confusing. So this is why they're like, 18, 20 or something like that. And they're around in their 20s or something like that. And that's why they're much older than Dylan was and stuff. And so like they have the Van Helsing gene that was augmented into that of Vanessa with the Dracula's blood and her family history line, which once again, Dylan should have never turned into a vampire and Dylan should never have died. Anyway. So after finding this all out, they go back to the crypt and she has them put their hands down in the water on this thing, and all of them are able to travel into, I guess, like the mystical realm or something like that. So it's Violet and it's Vanessa, they're together, but Jack is separate. Jack hears the voice of Dracula and is like brainwashed by her by opening up the tomb, releasing her spirit in the spirit world and stuff. While in the spirit world, we meet the man himself, Abraham Van Helsing. Finally, we get to see this dude. Because, this dude has been, I think he was in like novels since like the 1800s he was written in, right? And the dude's been in countless movies and television shows and books and comics. So we finally get to see this dude, the twin brother of Jacob. And he's telling them like, you must be my relatives, blah, blah, blah. He sees the book and he's kind of upset. He's like, yo, why I'm not in the Van Helsing like book? Like, I sacrificed myself. I entombed that of like, the Dark One and everything. And he's not even in the freaking book. He realizes 3 pages are missing, and that Vanessa has the amulet with Dracula's blood, but they don't have the specific weapon that they need. And so, like, then all of a sudden he realizes, like, oh wait, Dracula's been released. So he sends both all the girls like out the spirit world so they can confront like Dracula in case she gets resurrected. Now his brother Jacob is the third elder that Vanessa had to kill in season 3. Jacob was turned by Hansen and everything. And so, you know, Abraham, he imprisoned that of Jacob on that island. And then, like, he imprisoned the Dark One by going through the portal and trapping her there. So, he's not even in the book. So, as, like, Sam, Bathory, and all them knock out Violet and that Jack, is Vanessa's left alone and they are able to resurrect Dracula. Dracula turns out to be a woman this time. They gender bent her. In the comic that this is based off of, she's like male. Now, she's played by Trisha Helfer, I think her name is, and she does a great job. And I just wish they would have changed her name. Now, they do give her human name later on, but they should have called her Draculaira or something like that. And they never really refer to her as Dracula, mostly just the Dark Lord, but she is Dracula. So anyway, Vanessa tells her who she is and how she was created by scientists with like Dracula's blood and how they're the same. And so she tricks Dracula and everything, pretending like she's about to kill her daughters. Dracula opens up a portal and everything in that little crypt thingy, and Vanessa decides she's gonna spear Dracula and herself into the portal. And there, Vanessa is now gone until about 18 episodes later or so. And, I still can't believe they just got rid of her, man. They legit just got rid of her. And so now she's trapped the same way Abraham was and all this other stuff. But like I said before, she comes back the next season. Spoiler alert. She now looks like this. Doesn't make no sense. Why does she have short hair? Why does she have blonde hair? In the spirit world, did she find like a hairstylist or something like that? It's never explained her new appearance. And so now she has superpowers and everything, like telekinesis and stuff. And it's like, how? Oh, I swear they messed this character up so bad, boy. They messed this show up so bad. Scab. Scab has been an extreme letdown ever since he was introduced in the first season. He was basically a minion, like a little bit like a lieutenant, and he always did this cool scream thing. So he always seemed deranged and scary, which was really cool in the first season. In the second season, he was like that too. By the third, he joined the Sisterhood. By that time, they just did that to keep him on the show and give him something to do. But he hasn't really done much of anything other than kill Julius's one night stand. Come this season, him and Julius are like mad, they're pissed, they're fighting each other now. But here's the odd thing. When they snuck into like the facility, they wore regular clothes to blend in last season. Now all of a sudden, this takes place 1 second after last season. They're now wearing their like warrior clothes again. How the heck did they change that fast? It's never explained. So anyway, he gets blown up by Julius with the grenade, and you see his guts literally fall out. Stephen Orff style from like the first Scream movie. They just fall out of him and everything. I'm surprised they showed that on TV. So he's wounded, and after that, he does absolutely, positively nothing. I mean, nothing. He's barely in the show. He doesn't attack nobody. he doesn't show up and towards the end to actually do something. And when he does, it's just like him and Ivory are kind of like, I don't know, what are two minions that just run around like an entire show but don't really do nothing? Kind of like Bulk and Skull from Power Rangers, or I've never watched Pokemon, but who is that man and that woman who have a cat, and they're constantly roaming around like the world and everything, doing bad stuff. They remind me of that. They have really dropped the ball on both Scab and that of Ivory. So they run into this arena because apparently now there's a cage fight episode, which is complete filler. Like, once Vanessa leaves the show, there's a lot of filler. And some of that filler would have been okay if Vanessa was still there and some of the other characters were still there. But I digress. So they show up and him and Julius fight. And then Julius decapitates him. And that's it. No more Scab. Completely dropped the ball with him, but not as much as they kind of did with the Sisterhood. The Sisterhood is the biggest disappointment I've ever seen since being introduced into season 2. The Sisterhood are pretty much the only vampires that kind of appear. Oh, by the way, there are barely any vampires this season. The only vampires you see are the elite, sophisticated looking ones who have magical powers and can shapeshift, but they mostly look human. You'll see a couple of scavengers just roaming around like the city and start going after survivors, but that's about it. Other than that, there are really no vampires in this season. It's mostly just humans. And so, like, the Sisterhood are near existent in this show. They appear maybe 3 times in 13 episodes, and that's literally it. They get bit by Jack and they all turn human, and they will appear in the next season in one special episode I've already reviewed a year ago. And spoiler alert, they all die. They don't fight. You never see them fight. They don't do no flips. They don't do no martial arts. They carry swords around, but you rarely see them use it. What was the point in introducing them? I don't get it. But here we come to Ivory. Just like Scab, Ivory has done absolutely nothing this entire season. Apparently she has affection and likes Scab and everything, which I don't know how, because at first she was repulsed by him. But every time he gets hurt, she gets really, really sad and upset, like in a romantic kind of way. What is it? After the first episode, like I said, when they failed to take over Denver and everything, they head back to like their fortress or whatever, and Bathory is there, and she awakens Mama. I forget what Mama's name is in the show, but she's supposed to be the very first sister, that organization they're in, the Sisterhood. She was the very first, so she's known as Mama, and she's been in tune for the longest time. So with the help of Bathory and everything, they resurrect her. And so Mama don't like Bathory because Bathory keeps screwing up. You know how it is. You want to say one word, you think of another word, and then it comes out jumbled. My mouth. Anyway. But then you see Ivory snitch on Bathory, which is kind of funny. And so after that, you don't see her no more until that episode I told you about Scab. They just run into the fortress without the Sisterhood, just by themselves. She fights like she fights, what's her name, Jack, and she fights Violet. And then she gets bit by Violet and everything, and she turns back human. Now this is what's crazy about her when she turns human. The Sisterhood, apparently that's not war paint on their face. Now, yes, they wear a mask. And remember how I said there's like paint underneath their face that's like white and it's cracked looking and all that? That's not paint, that's their face. Apparently, when she turned back human, all that white war paint looking stuff completely went away. So it's like, what turned their face that way? Well, I'm not sure, but something interesting happened when she turned back human. When a normal vampire turns human, they throw up this black goo. Ivory, on the other hand, threw up green goo. So there must be something special in her and in the rest of them. Anyways, after being turned back human, she is indebted into the Van Helsings and wants to help them. Thus, are a brand new member of the group and in the show and everything. Jack gives her Scarlet's katana and everything. Which is weird because when we first see Ivory as in her full human form, in the next episode, she has her vampire sword. But then all of a sudden, it turns into a katana. Oh, the mistakes in this show. So anyways, she is now helping that of the group, and she mostly hangs around Jack. But then again, in fifth season, she'll hang out around Violet a whole lot more. And so when she's with Jack, you can tell that she's into Jack and everything, making her bisexual. And so they have to now go and rescue Hanson. But they can't find him there. They see Mama going through some weird ritual and everything where they remove her heart and do some kind of magical vampire ritual. By this time, Jack has already turned at least one or two of the sisterhood. And when they go on the attack, not much of a fight. She turns a couple of more of the sisterhood to eventually she turns all of them, but she kills Mama by stabbing her heart that's in a box. And so that like freezes her long enough for Ivory to take the katana and decapitate her. And talking about I became a vampire because of you. And she's all like, if it wasn't for me, you would have been burnt to the stake. Now we saw that in season 2 in that flashback. And so Ivory really hates her and stuff. So now, she's dead. Now when it comes to Ivory, we don't know exactly how old she is. Because I'm pretty sure she's indigenous. Or maybe she's Mexican or something. I can't remember. I forget what the actress is. The actress has a lot of stuff mixed in her. But I'm pretty sure she was indigenous when that flashback. And so, she's supposed to be a couple of 100 years old, or at least 1,000. But then she mentions things in in the show that was kind of like, wait, hold up, you shouldn't even be alive during that time. So they need to get a better history buff on that show. But pretty much after this, she just pretty much tags along with the group and helps them out on their mission. And she actually became a really cool character that one fans really love, especially in 5th season. But the thing about her is weird. When the actress was evil, you can tell she was acting it up and having fun. When she's goody, how people are, the first to be really evil, and then when they have to turn to a good character, they're super goody. That's kind of how she is later on in the show, but still has a bit of her attitude and stuff. Mama is a wasted character. She's cool and interesting, you know what I'm saying? She was like the first of the sisterhood. She turned the rest of the sisterhood. For some reason, their face looks the way it does and is never explained. And she's super powerful, and I think she can shapeshift, I think. Maybe not, I'm not sure. But she hates Bathory, and she hates Hanson even more. And she's one of Dracula's brides. Dracula has many brides and everything. And so she really doesn't do nothing for the rest of the show other than just not trust Bathory and just act pissy towards Hanson and stuff like that. But then like I told you before, she got her comeuppings when, Jack and Ivory killed her. She doesn't do much. She really didn't contribute to the show in no kind of way. I don't know why they brought her in. It's not the actress' fault. It's the writer's fault because she didn't bring nothing to the show. There's a lot of characters this season that did not bring nothing to this show, and yet for some bizarre reason, they're there only to get decapitated. I think this lady name is Avery, I think. Anyway, she was working with that of Doc in the research because she's trying to find, like, I guess, like a cure for vampirism, something like that, but she was the one in charge. Anyways, Doc came to some discovery about Violet, but she was unable to tell her, and because Hanson, took her away. And so, like, she was gonna quit and leave there because she found out something bad. When the vampires find that out, four of them eat her and stuff. I thought that was gonna be the end of her until Bathory impersonated her by shapeshifting into her. Doc. I can't believe Doc was only in like 2 episodes this season. Basically, what it is that her, Hanson, and Julius, they all go to Fort someplace, I forgot what it's called, Fort Collins, I think. And so basically, they still want her to work on like a cure, right? And so, like, they kind of go back to making her a weakling a little bit. Once they find out Julius can, like, heal, Hanson wants her to experiment on him until he doesn't. And so he locks her in a holding cell, which you see her talking about, like, please don't lock me in here, and blah, 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 and, like, making her back into her weak self. After that, like, Julius finds out that Violet has the ability to turn vampires into humans. So he has Doc test her blood. After she finds that out, she's about to reveal it until Hanson has her taken away. And as soon as he takes her out the cell, he puts Julius in the cell. And after that, we do not see Doc anymore. Now, towards the end of the season, all of a sudden we see this mutated like vampire who's super strong, who Axel and Julius have a hard time taking down. They're in this open field with some military officers, and part of the grass has this orange dust on it. And something happens to them where they think it could be Doc, who has finally, like, done what Hanson wanted to make some type of repellent towards vampires. But I still couldn't believe she was only in 2 episodes. And when I looked on her IMDb, she really wasn't doing nothing around that time. But then later on, she was attached to like a show. So maybe that's why she had to leave. But then it makes you wonder, why would she leave a show she's already on? Julius is very tough this season, but he only shows up in the very beginning. He's missing all throughout the middle of the season. Then he shows back up towards the end. Basically, he is tough this season, and he's pissed off about losing his one night stand. And so he has it out for Scab all season. Now, when he is left behind, he's trying to tell the people about the vampires, this and that breached the place, but they all want to listen in Denver until it's too late. So Hanson has the place eradicated, killing the humans so the vampires won't have no food source. When, like I told you before, like, he brings him and Doc to that facility and Fort Collins and everything, Hanson realizes that Julius has the ability to heal and shows Avery and the others by shooting him up. Julius will get shot up a lot this season. So he wants originally Doc to like cut him open and see what makes him like, heal and everything. But then he realizes I can use him for something else. So then he makes Julius be the sparring partner of Violet. So he's basically her Yoda this season. And he's teaching her how to fight and all this other stuff. Well, Violet's very rebellious and likes to sneak out and go to the bar. He goes with her and sees that when a vampire attacks her, she turns the vampire human. After having Doc like test the blood, they put him in a holding cell. After that, he completely disappears for the middle part of the season. Seriously, everybody's disappearing from this show. Well, when we see Violet again, she got kidnapped somehow towards the end of the season, and she's is supposed to do like cage fighting. And there we find Julius. See, Julius, after a while, he just escaped on his own and left Violet. And we see him wandering the streets, but we never see him get captured. So he gets captured off screen, and he's put in cage fighting and stuff like that. Him and Violet eventually will break out with the help of like Axel and Jack. After that, he's pretty much just used to help fight like bad guys and become a distraction. Basically, they have him get shot up, pretend like he's dead, because a lot of the other people don't know that he can like regenerate and everything. And so at some point in time, after all that, like I said before, him and Axel and the military people are out in the field and they fight this mutant, like, vampire. Oh yeah, and before, like I told you before, he killed Scab. And so he finally got vengeance on Scab because he couldn't get vengeance on Sam. So in a way, there him and Axel are in this open field fighting the vampire dude, right? And he touches some of that green dust. It causes his heart to literally stop. Him and Axel literally collapse near a shed that has a video camera on it. Somehow, this orange dust causes their Daywalker blood or abilities to stop healing their wounds. So he has a huge scratch on his chest and it caused his heart to stop and everything. And there he lies, like, unconscious along with Axel. And it's like, who created this orange dust? Now, the theory is Doc, because they was looking for that repellent to repel vampires, which was originally blue, but then she tricked them, black tech people and everything. And so maybe she's been working on it the whole time and then, it's now turned orange. And basically she created something that gets rid of the vampire's ability to heal because daywalkers are super tough. I do like how they made Julius a whole lot tougher this season because he's a really great addition to the group and to the show. He's been there since season 1, but remember, he had his own vampire army. Axel is going through the motions, man. Axel's a really cool character. He's been there since day 1. He's kind of always like the leader of whatever survival group they find. He's a former military officer. He was sent to protect Vanessa. He fell in love with Scarlet and all this other stuff. But then remember, at the end of season 3, Scarlet died and he said he will kill Vanessa the next time he sees her. He no longer cares about saving the world from vampires and he has gone on his own path, constantly getting drunk, being pissed off, and always threatening to fight or kill people and stuff. He's really mourning her a lot because he really loved her in those couple of months that he knew her and everything. And so when he overhears, there's a woman who can turn vampires into humans, he goes looking for her. And there he finds Vanessa, pissed off like I don't know what. So they have a huge fight. He's shooting her up, he's punching her, he's stabbing her, everything, right? But she's finally able to talk some sense into him. And literally he forgives her right then and there. Like, he doesn't fully forgive her, but kinda. And it's just really just that brief time that caused him to forgive her. But whatever, we have Axel back. So now he's back to doing what he always does, trying to stop vampires to help his friends out. It's funny how he always just runs into his friends in the most convenient places and stuff. So she gives him a map that is able to find her, but it also works for any Van Helsing. So he finds Jack and those two befriend each other, and then this is when they find Julius and Violet, because he has no idea who Jack is, he has no idea who Violet is and stuff. And so basically after that, he's basically just used to hang with the new group of our survivors and help get them to the military facility, and find, like, do what they have to do to stop, like, the Dark Lord and all this other stuff. He doesn't really have no story arc. And the only solo episode he ever really had was with that Max and Flesh, towards like the beginning, middle of the season, when he befriended like Max, who was just like extremely crazy and stuff, and he helped Flesh get his family back. So he is always there to help out his friends and do the right thing. And now he's back on wanting to stop the second vampire apocalypse. He's always been that really tough character, he's kind of a little bit like Shane, kind of a little bit like Daryl, a little bit from The Walking Dead. Like, he's just always, sometimes it feels like he's the main star of the show because Vanessa is always missing. Bathory, the Oracle. So this character, she groomed Sam since a child to raise the Dark Lord and everything. Turns out she's one of the Dark Lord's brides. I don't know why they don't call her Dracula, but that's literally who she is from the comic. And so, like, she loves Dracula a lot. And she's been doing all this stuff to, like, bring her back. Even to the point where she turns on Michaela, that's her name, Mama and everything, because Hanson, tricked her and stuff. He tricked her into imprisoning her in a tomb. So anyway, she's the one who is constantly putting everything in motion, just so she can raise the Dark Lord. She's very powerful and literally has the power of telekinesis, and she can change her appearance. How exactly is never ever explained. She changes from her vampire look to like her human look and everything. And she really can't stand Sam because he's always disobeying her. Well, she resurrected the Dark Lord only to have Vanessa put it back in, like, the dark realm. So she tries to figure out new ways to bring her back. So the whole thing this season is to find the 3 pages. The 3 pages are pages that can open the portal to the dark world, and so the Dark Lord can get out. That's what Abraham had did. So she's constantly in search of this and has no idea where it is, even though it's technically in plain sight. So she's always torturing people. She tortures Jack to get inside the mind of Violet. And she does kind of like this Groundhog's Day thing with Violet, trying to get the pages out, like, her memory. She tortures that of Henson. And eventually she takes on the appearance of Avery. And she locks up Henson in this military, like, containment unit, like stasis, like pod and everything. Eventually they get the double hand on her and they put her in there, and she ends up killing Hanson because she hates his betrayal and all this other stuff. But she has a hold on Jack's mind along with the Dark Lord. And so when the Dark Lord finally becomes free, she frees that Bathory. Now what's crazy is that the Dark Lord takes the appearance of the president. And the Secret Service, they just do whatever the president wants, even releasing this demonic witch of like a vampire and stuff. She's really cool and a great addition to the show. And she will be in season 5. And I'm so glad that, like, the actress does a great job at this. Hanson / William and everything. So they're technically the same person. It's just he uses disguise as Hanson. He's played by Neil Meduff, or I think that's how you say his name. This dude's been in everything. I've seen this dude in so many things. Now he has a rule to where he will not be intimate with any of his co-stars. No kissing, no love scenes, no nothing like that, because he's married in real life, and he's devoted to his wife. I can totally respect that. I wish more stars were like that, but then if they were, there would be no love scenes in like television. So this is probably why they have two people playing him. And it's really hard to figure this dude out at first. Is he good? Is he bad? Then you find out he's a vampire. In season 3, he acts like he's a good guy, but with a bad streak. So it's like, what's the deal with this dude, right? He clearly is evil. Then in season 4, you find out everything about him. He's the adoptive father of Jack and Violet, and he loves them to death. He's been training Violet to fight the Dark Lord for many, many years, but she had no idea. He did not train Jack because Jack went missing during the uprising and stuff. And so, like, he's very he manipulates people, and he has this evil streak to him. He'll kill anybody just to do whatever it is he needs, or torture them and stuff. And so he took Doc away so she can make some type of cure. And he had Julius, be the sparring partner of Violet. And he is the one who actually created them and everything. Like, he is a vampire. Like, that part is true. But you find out how exactly. So hundreds of years ago, he was the apprentice to that of... which one? Jacob, I think it was. And so, Abraham's like twin brother, Van Helsing. And so one day Bathory sees him and bites him and puts a spell on him to bite Jacob. Jacob becomes the third elder. Somehow, and I don't understand how this is possible, but when he turns into a vampire, he still has his consciousness. Like, he's still a good guy. He never turns evil like everybody else. Maybe because Bathory is completely different because she's the Oracle. Heck if I know. But he is one of the 4 like elite vampires, that works with Michaela and that Bathory. So his whole thing is he's wanting to get rid of the Dark Lord. And he hid these 3 pages because, if somebody had these pages, they could resurrect the Dark Lord. So he hid them and everything. And he knew at some point there'll need to be a weapon. So for many, many years, he created a weapon that will kill the Dark Lord. He is the one who founded Black Tech, the one that made Vanessa and Scarlet the way they are. He is responsible for that because he mixed the Dark Lord's blood in with whatever type of cure that he created. But of course, Vanessa and Scarlet went missing. So he decided to make a new weapon in the form of Violet and Scarlet. And he showed them through memories. Apparently he has powers too. Like how he was able to do that when literally he needed bio warfare. So he joined the Third Reich in Germany, yes, and tortured vampires along with people just to find out this bio weapon. And then he finally did form Black Tech, and the rest is history. He is devoted to his daughters because he never expected to fall in love with them and stuff. And so, like, somehow Bethany tortured him to the point where he's dying. It's never explained how or why he's dying. It's also never explained why Jack and Violet never bit him to turn him human. I guess the writers just like, just forget that part. But he literally, sacrifices himself to trap Bethany. And so she uses her telekinesis and snaps his neck. I was surprised that he was the one responsible for like the cure and all this other stuff. But he literally said that, Jack and Violet are the weapon. They are the cure. They are the one he designed to stop the Dark Lord. So the show, technically now, because the Vanessa actress is on maternity leave and they got rid of like the Scarlet actress, oh, it was never about them and everything. It was always about Jack and always about Violet. And that pissed fans off. Now, we already know that Black Tech Company is the one who created Daywalkers, right? But Henson said it literally is because of him. Now he tells the other vampire, like, people like Bathory, Sam, and Michaela, aka Mama, that like, he did that so vampires can have an endless supply of food. He makes the humans immortal, and that way they can feed the humans for like centuries, right? Because they can just heal and stuff like that. But then Sam tells him, but their blood tastes like crap. And Hanson acts like he doesn't know that. I believe that he's just like lying to them. And he actually wants the humans to be immortal. And that, like, their blood tastes like crap, so the vampires will leave them alone. But he probably didn't realize that, oh crap, this will actually turn them into vampires. But of course, you have a Van Helsing that can, like, cure them and stuff. And so it's weird knowing that so much stuff is because of him. Like the Van Helsings being half vampires and, like, all kinds of stuff. Even with like the whole Jacob and Abraham thing. Jack. Not much is known about Jack. It actually focuses more on that of Violet. But we do get some stuff with Jack. She was the first to meet Vanessa, hear about her, be a fan and all this stuff. She's very nice. She is also a lesbian, one of the many LGBT characters in this show. It's gotta be great to have an LGBT lead who's a superhero in your own show. And a lot of people don't even realize that and stuff, like how far the LGBT community has come to where they are literally like the lead hero in a show. Now, when it comes to Jack, she mostly fights with that of a crossbow. And she lost her girlfriend and she left her group in order to search for Vanessa. After she got bit by a vampire, he turned human and she died and came back alive. She's not strong like Vanessa, because Vanessa is super powerful and everything, and neither is Violet. Now, she got lost during the uprising. I reviewed that episode years ago. Basically, her high school was on a trip, because she's only about probably 17, 18 years old. And so, like, whatchamacallit. They was like on a trip. The uprising happened. The vampires took over. Her and her friends all got attacked one by one, and they all died one by one. But somebody sent a vampire male after her to help protect and warn her. It was Hanson, but we didn't know that at that time. And I was actually surprised that they showed the origin of the uprising and everything with her character, instead of like, the other characters. And so basically, she later befriends that, well, actually, when her, Vanessa, and Violet are in the crypt, and in that dark realm, the Dark Lord takes a hold of her mind and she releases the Dark Lord. A part of the Dark Lord's mind is still inside her. And so when she finds Axel and everything and they free Julius and Violet, basically what happens is like she befriends Ivory, but they become romantic interests and everything. Love at first sight, man. They literally just looked at each other. She will give what's her name, Ivory, like Scarlet Sword that Vanessa gave her. And so when they do their ritual and everything to go find the Dark Lord and try to kill her, the Dark Lord shows them like, a fake version of how they was born. Basically, it was Hanson banging a Hispanic and a black woman to create them and stuff. And the Dark Lord literally takes over her mind. When they return back to the real world, we think it's Jack, but it's not. It's the Dark Lord and everything. And we don't know where Jack is. And so she later frees, or she kills the president, the female president, and the Dark Lord takes over the appearance of like the president. Then towards the very, very end, we see Jack is inside a coffin, inside a room with other coffins. And it's like, whoa, where is she at? Now, spoiler alert, she is sent back into the past. Oh yeah, time travel. So Violet is the twin sister of Jack. And Jack is Hispanic and Violet is black. I've actually seen this actress in other stuff. I believe she started off as a stunt woman who later became an actress. That explains probably why her fight scenes are very good, but of course she still has to use a stunt double herself. I've seen her in Batwoman, and I've seen her in one of the newer Saw movies, but she had a very brief role in both of them. Quite a shame, because she's actually a really good actress from somebody who turned from a stunt double person to an actress. Because most stunt double people can't act. But hers is actually pretty good. With some polishing to her acting, and with her dark complexion, she could technically play Storm in the MCU, but I would like for that Jodie woman to play her instead, the one who was in The Acolyte and the one who was in The Last Ship. And so Violet is very, very well violent. She's very aggressive. She's a skilled fighter, but she's not strong like Vanessa. So she has a harder time taking down bigger vampire men. She first befriends Julius, and it's shown right away she has a rebellious streak. She constantly sneaks out to a bar and she gambles and stuff like that because she's not supposed to leave the facility. And we see there she has a boyfriend. Him and her love each other to death. They plan on going to Hawaii because apparently there are no vampires there. And so, like, when Julius later leaves her and stuff, and she realizes she can turn vampires into humans, and she sees Doc's medical records of what she is, she flees in order, I guess, to find Jack or something. Somehow they're drawn to each other. And so eventually she'll find Jack and Vanessa, finds out, Vanessa's the mom and everything. They try to fight the Dark Lord and like Bathory and all them, only to lose Vanessa in the process. After that, she is the one who holds on to the amulet with the Dark Lord's blood. They can't just pour it out because it will reconstitute itself. So after that, they flee, but then she ends up getting captured, and so does Jack. And so, like, she gets put into like cage fighting along with Julius. Who she has to face is funny. It's the Big Show from wrestling. And so basically, she is this. It's weird. Like every post-apocalyptic thing you see, there's always somebody who does cage fighting. It's a filler episode. A lot of her episodes are filler. But so it is nice to see cage fighting in an apocalyptic world because it's kind of like, humanity has lost its mind, but there's still idiots out there. But still, it's stupid when vampires take over. You want to be a human who has cage fighting. Now, they actually focus a lot on Violet this season, and a whole lot more than that of Jack. And she's actually the one more determined to stop the Dark Lord than that of, like, Jack. She's more forthcoming and everything, and more of a go-getter. And I like that, you know what I'm saying? And so basically, when they come out from the dark realm and everything, she flips out and has to be restrained and drugged because she knows Jack isn't really Jack. So, with the help of Ivory, they escape, only to get shot up by the Secret Service because, well, the president ain't the president no more. It's Dracula now. And so, when it comes to these two characters, like I said, they would have been fine if Vanessa was still in the show. But when they got rid of pretty much the entire cast and had them show up sparingly and then got rid of Vanessa, fans was not expecting them to be the new leads and everything. And fans just did not want that because we just wanted Vanessa. But if Vanessa would have just been there, everything would have been copacetic. So Trisha Helfer plays, I think that's how you say her name, plays the Dark Lord, Dracula. And she does a very, very good job. And so, like, she's been trapped forever because of that of Abraham. Because, like, he entombed her in the dark realm and all this other stuff. She is responsible for all the vampires. And she has many wives. Now, we don't know much of anything about her this season, but we will next season. And so basically, she's the one who showed Violet those visions of like Vanessa and everything. She did all that so they can all help free her. She's the one who entangled the mind of like Jack and had Bathory entangle it even more. And with the pages, now she's able to escape. When she realizes the president has the ability to pretty much do anything in America, she bites the president, kills her, and takes her appearance, freeing Bathory and everything. And so next season, we will find out a whole lot more about her and, her backstory, which once again, we got to get into another backstory of a brand new character. Oy. So yeah, you can watch this on the CW app. You can watch this on Netflix. At some point, it will be on Tubi this season. It's just this season did not do it for me at all. And I mean at all. Even rewatching it, I find myself getting pissed off and everything. The shaky cam with the fight scene, speeding up the action fight scene, the not that much blood, not that much gunslinging, the cast barely being in the show, people getting written off, them killing my favorite character, writing off my other favorite two characters and stuff, and the main lead just disappears from the show. Bringing in two new people fans just did not ask for. And like I said before, I don't blame the actresses because they did a fine job. It's just we had no idea what the heck was going on. We were literally in the dark. They didn't even let us know the actress was pregnant. We just kept waiting and waiting and waiting for her to come back, only for her to not show up until the very end of the next season. And it's just like, it feels like this show had completely different writers at this time. That's what it felt like. They were still trying too hard to be like The Walking Dead, showing more humans, showing the group split up. Like, that's the formula that hurt The Walking Dead. So why duplicate that here? And as for like all the supernatural stuff and the witch like vampires and all this other stuff, it's like I'm totally okay with that because that's really cool and it made the show more interesting. My only problem with all of this is that it should have been shown in the first season. How the world do you go to a very grounded, realistic, zombie-like apocalypse with vampires to all of a sudden going into like witch vampires and Dracula and like people with telekinetic powers and and like how do you go from that to that? Like that just seems so odd. You know what I'm saying? It's like you're watching two completely different shows because technically you are. And like now we find out that there are cities that have nothing but humans and cities that have like working televisions and stuff like that. Because all of a sudden we thought all of America was like, run by vampires. Also, what about the rest of like the world? They've never explained that. Because I believe the vampire apocalypse is only happening in like America and stuff. So why doesn't like any other country help them out? It's like stuff like that's never explained. That wasn't that spooky. Alright, well, I shall talk to y'all later. Bye.